Have you ever heard a secret so magical you just had to find out if it was true? Well, in the tiny town of Moonlight Hollow, nestled at the very end of a cobblestone street, stood an old, forgotten shop.
No one quite remembered when it opened, or who owned it, but everyone knew about the mystery inside. A clock that chimed only at the stroke of midnight.
Not a second sooner, not a second later, the children in town would whisper stories about it. They said if you were awake to hear its chime, you had to make a silent wish. A wish straight from your heart. Because this wasn't just any clock, it was a clock that could hear your deepest desires. One night, a brave and curious girl named Mia decided she wouldn't just listen to the stories anymore. She was going to live one. She tiptoed to her window, her eyes fixed on the distant shop, and waited.
The world held its breath as the hands on every other clock in town crept toward 12.
Then, it happened. Dung, da, da, da. Dung, da, da, dung. The sound was deep and resonant, unlike anything she'd ever heard. It didn't just fill the air.
It seemed to vibrate right through her.
As the final chime faded, the air around her began to shimmer with golden lights, like captured fireflies being set free. The hands on the mysterious clock started spinning backward, faster and faster. A soft, magical breeze swept through her room, gently brushing her hair. Mia blinked, and when she opened her eyes, she gasped. Her entire town was transformed. It was no longer just Moonlight Hollow. It was a wonderland bathed in starlight. The sky was an endless canvas of glowing stars, so close she felt she could reach out and touch them. The nearby lake, usually dark and quiet, now shimmered like polished glass, reflecting the celestial show above. The houses themselves seemed to be floating on a sea of soft, glowing mist. Drawn by the beauty, Mia found herself standing by the water's edge. She looked down at her reflection, but the girl looking back wasn't exactly her. This other Mia had the same smile, the same curious tilt of her head, but her eyes were made of pure, brilliant light. "Who are you?"
Mia whispered, her voice barely making a sound.
The girl in the water smiled, a gentle, knowing smile. "I'm the wish you never said out loud," she replied, her voice like the chime of a tiny bell. "I came because the clock heard you." Mia's heart fluttered. She opened her mouth to ask 100 questions at once, but before a single word could escape, a final, soft dong echoed through the air. In an instant, the starlit sky, the floating houses, and the girl with glowing eyes vanished. Everything was back to normal, but something had changed within Mia. From that night on, whenever she walked past the old shop at the end of the street, she could hear a gentle tick-tock coming from inside. It was a soft, steady rhythm that sounded just like a happy, beating heart. And she knew, with all of her own, that her wish had been heard. Thanks for watching. If you loved this magical trip into Shine with Danielle,